Well, hey everybody. Thanks for tuning into this little run through of the whole child and authentic learning cohort. My name is Josh Hine. I am a physical education teacher in La Crosse. I teach at a, Northwoods Elementary School, and I will be one of the facilitators. And for this program, we plan to start this summer. And then, John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's John Weiland, and I am currently the literacy specialist at Logan Middle School in La Crosse also. And Josh and I are very excited and hoping you guys see a lot of value and want to come and join us and get this program rolling.
All right. So, um, yeah, so this is going to be through UW La Crosse and their professional studies and education program. And they recently changed it from a master's of education in professional development to their title now is a master of science in education. So just on the degree, it'll look a little bit different now. Um, yeah, John, do you want to start on this one and I'll kind of
Sure. Just thinking about the master's program and really what it has to offer, and for each person, it will be a little different because it really does allow you to individualize it and think about, what do you want to get out of this? So, of course, we're always going to focus on best practices, and we are really going to experience or focus on the experiential learning aspect of it, and then also the authentic assessment. And even Josh, if you want to flip back to that prior slide too, and part of the experiential learning is just thinking about, these slides that we have as our background too. And this is out in the Bighorn Mountains in Wyoming, and just some of the groups that we've taken through there in the past and the experiences and building of community that goes along with this program allows you to really think about, what is the best practice for thinking about group development and what is your role within it. And through it, these slides, you're going to see a lot of people having fun, but it's a lot of work too. And it really allows you to deep dive and really get to know what it feels like to be part of that group.
Yeah, so the theory of whole child and authentic learning is kind of combining some of the best practices in education. And what we mean by authentic or experiential learning and authentic assessment is kind of this idea that does the experience that you are providing for your students allow them to reach their learning on a deeper level, to kind of construct their own meaning? And then the assessment piece is, how do you, as a student in your classroom, how do they transfer what they're learning to the real world? And when you are assessing for that or checking for learning, whatever you want to call it, does it transfer? Like, is the student able to say, here's what I learned in my class, and here's how I see this in the real world, and this is why it's meaningful. So to go along with meaningful, we're looking at one of the biggest pieces is connecting with other people in the program. I think because everyone's coming from different places and teaching whatever their experience is or whatever their role is in their building, once you kind of come together as a cohort and we build this community of learners, the stuff that you guys share together is going to be one of your most powerful tools, because it's someone who's already doing what is a best practice in their place, and then for you to figure out, like, would this work for me, and how did it work for this other teacher, and then could I use this in my setting? So that's kind of the community-based approach to it. And then, yeah, the last bullet there is just about being a blended community. So we will be doing face-to-face when we're able to. And for this summer, we plan to be completely online, so you'll be able to work whenever it's convenient for you. And then this fall, we'll be together, hopefully face-to-face, and we'll do a couple weekends together in the fall semester. And that will really kick off our, experiential piece of it. So.
Yeah. So then looking at whole child and a lot of times within communities and these two beautiful children on here are actually an example of people that have gone through, not these kids, but their parents, their mothers, where they've had children, during the community, and how it is just adaptable, for no matter what goes on in your life. And we're looking at the whole child, whole person, and how that works for you, and looking at the 5 different components of it. And we take that and apply it to the program, to making sure that you are going to be healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. And then thinking about how you do that to your classroom. So we're trying to definitely integrate this, and making sure that you're experiencing this at a deep level. So then you can then take it and also apply it to your classroom and your students too. So you have that deep level of understanding that goes along with it too. And with whole child, it's like, as facilitators, we understand that life happens too. It's like, look at the situation we're in now, and we're going to be very adaptable and accommodating to things in your life, and how we can support you, and to make sure that all these components are still in place for you too, as you continue to grow and be part of our community.
Yeah. So Whole Child is from ASCD, and they're a big part of it is applying growth and development theory to children. So what that kind of means is um, having a master's degree and having all this information can really impact the conversations you have, and the comfort level, and like the depth of your knowledge, and how you take what you know is best for a kid or a person, and and then to have the research to back it up and say, like, here's what we need to do for this child. So just kind of, it's really empowering actually to live this way.
Well, and part of that empowerment then goes to, and we'll get into our strands as far as the curriculum, but that's where you start becoming curious too, and really what do you want to dig in and learn a little bit more about. And that gets into the goals here of the program also. It's that continuous improvement to your professional calling. And that's where, are you a curious learner, where it's going to be, on a basis where you're always wanting to get better at what you're doing, and having questions about what you do and why you do it. And and through that, you become more effective to them when you're facilitating your student learning, as far as what your expectations are for them. And not only for you to develop your personal character, then you start thinking about, what does that look like in my classroom also. So again, it's really the whole experiential part of taking you through that process as a community, and having you being able then to adapt it into, what that looks like and what you need it to look like in your classroom also.
Yeah. So these are the strands of the curriculum that we'll be working on through the course of the program. You guys can read them there on your right, but John and I are going to kind of tag team. One that came up that has been, pretty significant, especially in current times, is the idea of democracy, diversity, and social justice. And so a couple of the books that we'll be looking into are really going to dive into, like, what are democratic values, and then how does that look in a classroom or in a educational setting. And then what intentional things, procedures and policies and people, and what are you going to put into place wherever you are to kind of model this for your learners. We'll do this as a group, so everything we do is kind of modeled as a group, and then you'll be able to take it and put it into your setting. Technology, we're going to be, right now, I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions and have to immediately answer it on your own, because a lot of us, if you're an educator right now, you're teaching remotely. So I guess through the program, we're going to explore a little bit more, maybe on things that you learned right now and you're becoming a master in at this time. That would be something that you share. Maybe it's something you want to explore a little more through the course of the program.
Yeah, and with the program too, there's a lot of collaboration. I mean, that's going to be one of just the foundational pieces for us. And then the research piece too. I know initially a lot of people have a little bit of hesitation with research, just knowing that, you have to do a review of literature and turn that into some action research. But that actually turns into one of the most powerful pieces of your learning, I think, within the program too. Because as Josh was talking about it before, it's like, your foundational piece of what you know and what you can share with people. So when you are talking about needing, either some type of resource for a program or whatever it is, you have the research, you have, the data or whatever it is, And you can even talk about, your classroom experience and what you've noticed and what the data speaks with too. And I know a lot of times we get tired of talking about data, but data can be powerful when you present it in the right way, and when it truly does impact that learning that goes on in the classroom too. And that, dives right into that leadership piece too, as far as, taking a more active role possibly within your community or, your school community too. I mean, this just sets you up to be a very strong and powerful leader.
Yeah. And then in curriculum development and assessment, that's kind of, I feel like a lot of these are really, they all kind of cross their own lines in their own right. But as far as assessment, that would be a big one that there's a lot of cool research coming out now about the authenticity of what we're assessing and how people can take that into a real life application. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, especially when people are trying to plan engaging learning opportunities online. And if you're in a district where students are not required to do anything and they're not, nothing's graded, we're in a time where we have to get pretty creative with the things that we're delivering. And I would make the assumption that what people are presenting to their students at this time is authentic, because if it's not engaging right now, like, people aren't going to do it. So
No. And really the beauty of this curriculum is that, again, it can be individualized really for what you're interested in, and really what you want to know and find out more about too.
yeah. All right. Well, here's a good one. Many districts in our area are going to offer a pay increase um, through your salary advancement, and that would be something you should check in with your school district. It's going to differ between places, but it can be pretty significant. I know in our situation in La Crosse, it is enough to almost pay for itself. I believe it's pretty close to paying for itself within a year of having the master's degree. And then after that, you're compounding and looking at, what do you want to do with this? If you're like me and you've got student loans you're still paying, it's incredibly helpful. So another benefit there. We don't have this in this slide, but another benefit to this program right now is that if you maintain a 3.5 GPA or higher during the course of the program, you can get a scholarship for your credits. So your per credit, I believe it goes down to 396 per credit, which is pretty significant. There are other programs that are up in the mid to high, like $500 per credit. So this is a pretty awesome deal to keep your payments down while you're in the program.
Yeah, and this, just with the pay increase, is a huge incentive for people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know from past cohorts, a lot of people, that's really what got them into the program. But as they got into the program and started, learning and being part of that process, it sort of flipped for them. That became sort of the secondary reason as to what they were doing. But we definitely need to get paid, and you need to get paid for what you're worth too as a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at our schedule, we are planning a 2020 summer start. So the registration deadline is currently set for June 1st, and we would be kicking off online somewhere around June 22nd. That's the technical start date, but we're going to be flexible with kind of how and where people are signing up. And then you would graduate in the summer of 2021. And so it's a pretty quick program. That's kind of why we were wanting to start this summer, is to kind of get like a 14-month master's challenge. The stuff we're going to be doing would be monthly readings and reflections. And then depending on where you're at, if you have a professional development plan that your district still acknowledges, or if you're straight educator effectiveness, a lot of the stuff that we do in our program is going to overlap with that. So you can use your research as a part of either of your development programming. And then, yeah, so that's the literature review and the action research. John was talking about that earlier, about how it can be a little scary as a task at first, but our goal as your facilitators would be to break that down into manageable chunks that are spread out throughout the course of the program. Excuse me. And then As you are reading and you're making sense of the information that's out there based on what you want to know more about and what you're going to apply to your area, it really does impact it pretty much immediately how you're teaching or the way you're doing things. And then, like we were saying, just your leadership role and the way that you can converse about what you know and best practices. It has a really significant impact on your professionalism because you take this stuff that other people have studied and you're sort of processing it in your own environment, and then you're going to take that and put it into research in your whatever you're teaching or whatever you're doing for your profession, um, and then seeing how that impacts student learning. So it's a really powerful part of it. It's work, no doubt, but it is probably the most significant change you'll experience. And then, John, if you want to talk about the Wilderness Institute.
Yeah, and even before that a little bit too, I guess just to reaffirm that all the activities and readings and experiences that we have are going to be aligned and connected to your educator effectiveness or PDP plan. And with that, you want to make sure too, and we're gonna, give you our promise too, that it's all applicable to your work and what you're doing. So, as facilitators, it is our job to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and work behind the scenes. So when we are, meeting as a group too, that everything that we have and put in front of you, it's going to be applicable, and making sure that it's engaged too, and that we're going through and living that whole child process too, that we're talking about here as a cohort. So yeah, so then getting into that 2021 Wilderness Institute, just thinking about, the whole child and learning in community, and really what does that look and feel like too. This experience really just allows people then to, plan, experience, and live that process. So it gives you that deeper sense of being part of that group, and then also the emotions that go along with that too, and finding roles within that group, and how that plays out, over time too. So, this is typically 10 to 14 days, and we've been on trail, like up to 10 days with that too. But as a group, we'll discuss and talk about what that looks like more too, as we form and start, finding out where people's levels of comfort are too with that. So again, it's making sure that, we're meeting you where you are and putting you in a good, safe place too.
Yeah, I think the people who have been through this program, or anyone who's spent a significant amount of time in the backcountry, I think this is, in a lot of ways, the culminating experience. It's celebratory of all the hard work that people have been doing, and it certainly has like a more of a like a spiritual sense to it. It kind of gets outside of we get outside of our comfort zones, and we kind of detach from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and just the sounds that we don't recognize are pretty much always there if you live in town. And so by getting out and really slowing down and just breaking your day down to like wake up, do a little stretch, cook together, like let's go get water. I mean, just the daily tasks that we really simplify. And it's a pretty profound experience. So we're super pumped about that one. We're hoping that in itself can be a draw for you outdoorsy people. And if that's not your cup of tea, then that's why you should be in this program, because it's
Because it might be.
right, because it might be, and because it's going to put you in a situation where you might never try this on your own, but you're with people who are, we're professionals. So we're
Yeah.
going to get you out there and show you some cool stuff, and just be okay with the discomfort at times of like, where are we go, what's the unknown, I guess, can be kind of scary, but yeah, it definitely has a really cool impact on our personal lives. So
Yeah, and I think too, this is a great connection for people that maybe have never experienced this before too, where we ask the children in our classroom to try new things and to really, get out of their comfort zones on a daily basis. This allows you to actually do that, even though, it might seem very uncomfortable at first, but it really, again, it gives you that experience, that feeling of what is it like when you're asking, somebody, to stand up in front of the class and, to talk or whatever it might be that really puts them out of their comfort zone. And through this, again, you're supported by us, by the community that you'll be with out there, and just how you to learn and grow as that community and support one another too is very profound out there.
Yeah. So because this is a recorded video, if you're looking at that link right now, you probably won't be able to click on it. But we will make sure that somehow this information is accessible to you guys. If you have questions or comments or things that you're wondering about that we didn't answer in this, please reach out. You'll be able to get a hold of the Institute for Professional Studies and Education through UWL, and they will basically pass things on to us as well if it's something that they can't answer. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and John and I are going to work on a couple other shorter promo videos that'll have way less information, but hopefully are still intriguing. So if you watched all the way to the end, good for you. You just spent enough time already that, if you can
Yeah,
handle that with us, then you can go backpacking for 10 days.
definitely. We want you with us.
Yeah. So, all right. Well,
Yeah,
thanks.
thanks everyone.
We appreciate you stopping in, and be well.